Today we're diving into the challenges of making something truly unique, and I'll be using this box build as the example. But here's the thing, I'm not going to give you a list of 10 proven methods. I want to show you what it's really like, or at least for me, to take an unusual idea and bring it to life. The detours, the fixes, and everything in between. And while some of you are just here for a bit of entertainment, if you're a maker alike, hopefully this will inspire you to get back into the shop, to finish a project, or get started with an idea you've been dreaming about for some time. Sometimes we need to be clever and figure out how to build things that help us build things.
70 to the center.
Sometimes we have to choose less glamorous approaches.
Here we are.
Sometimes things out of our control just don't collaborate.
You serious?
Sometimes we're silly. And some other times, a little more serious.
Yeah, it doesn't look frightening at all.
But every time there's a fair chance of something going sideways.
Yeah, cool. That was.
Let's hold up for a brief moment, and we'll start from the beginning. There comes a day in every wood hoarder's life when he finally uses the scraps he's been keeping. This was mine.
Cypress. Yeah, a bit of camphor. Yeah, I'll have some oak with that. Mystery timber. Probably spotted gum. Would you like some cedar with that? Oh, don't mind if I do.
Also, if you're not here for the deep dive, the short version is linked right here. For everyone else, let's have a look-see at what we've got and where we want it to go.
Okay, here's what I found so far. There's a mix of things I know what they are and things I have no clue. We definitely got some merbau here, western red cedar, Surian cedar, camphor laurel, cypress pine, spotted gum, mystery, beefy big boy of whatever that is. We're just gonna start cleaning things up, and then we get a better idea of if I can get that color scheme going. So the idea is building a box about yee big, going from light to dark gradually. I'm gonna make it up like a butcher block. For now, let's just clean these bad boys up and see what we get. It's a milling time.
First step is cleaning these on the jointer to reveal the grain and straighten them out. And if you notice the jointer looking different, it's fully restored now. Dust collection added, switch still pending. If you want a video on that, let me know. We all strive to create something unique in whatever we are passionate about. For me, that's making things, bringing ideas to life, often using materials that would otherwise be discarded. And that comes with its own set of challenges. While working with wood is pretty sustainable in itself, I get tremendous amounts of joy taking it a step further. Not time efficient by any means, but definitely rewarding. And just look at the beauty that can reveal itself once it's resurfaced. And who doesn't like a good surprise? Obviously, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. Unless, of course, you change your perception. Let me explain. Beyond the rough idea of the design I just mentioned, the finished piece does not look anything like how I originally imagined it. About 90% of that was due to imperfections, and roughly 8 due to mistakes. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about as this project takes shape. With all the stock cut to uniform width and the final pass through the thicknesser, I started cutting everything into equal lengths to make up the block. Blocks, I guess. First side quest. Swapping blades to get a clean crosscut. Doesn't feel like a side quest? Well, that did for me. Starting with the wrong blade, resulting in having to tweak the dimensions already, and probably looking like it was my first time ever changing one.
Oh, you son of a bitch, I put it on the wrong way around. Let's make this box a little bit less high, so we can get a fresh cut on both sides.
However, turns out choosing the right blade actually gives you a decent cut. You learn something every day. At this point, I arranged all the uniformly cut pieces to create the pattern I had in mind, marking them carefully so I wouldn't lose the layout during glue up. Once everything was set, I went ahead and laminated the pieces together.
I did not lose all my marbles. It's Mac. That's Mac. Mac the Maggie. How you going, mate? Any good worms today? How's the worming going? Don't you dare shit on my table, so buddy. As you guys might know, this is a rather new channel. I'm still trying to figure out which is fun for me, but also enjoyable to watch. Ba 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 ba. Win win winny win. Short story long. Thank you heaps for all the people who subscribed already. It's been a bit of a couple of months, and I get 300 subscribers almost, which is great because I just want to make things. A buttload of glue. Doom, boom, bow, wow. I know this is exciting stuff, but I might do the rest off camera, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. Good stuff. All right, let's clean those bad boys up. For now, eyes down here. I've got these cleaned up. I actually put them through the thicknesser, which is a bit of a no-no because they're so short. I just did extremely shallow passes to prevent snipe. You can kind of see it a little bit here just in the right light, but it is so minimal. This will take me about 30 seconds to sand out. This still saved me a lot of time. For now, we're just going to clean those off, fresh cut, bring them all to the same width and length, and we go from there. Well, come with me. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Wow, that's bad. Yeah, see you later. That's terrible.
Next I trimmed all the laminated sections to the same width, to minimize the amount of flattening I have to do once they are all glued together. It's not only that sanding end grain takes long in general, but keeping a surface flat that consists of many different dense species of timber is a proper pain in the butt. Now on to the final glue up. I used an exterior grade PVA since it was a pretty warm day, just to give myself a bit of extra time to make sure everything lines up well.
No going back.
I usually cut out the footage of those moments where I forget about the camera rolling. But on second thought, I figured anyone who spends a fair bit of time alone in the shop like me can probably relate. Hopefully.
The glue's going off. Stop fucking around, boy. And now it's smoko time. G'day, mate. Nice hat. Want to go have some lunch?
we go. And this, children, is how you make a block. Anything end grain, you will not be able to put it through the thicknesser, as it is fairly dangerous and just pretty risky that something's just gonna fly off it. So next, I'm gonna put this through the thicknesser. A drum sander would be fantastic for this. I don't have one. I have done this before. You just have to go in the tiniest increments. It's not that I would recommend it, but 90% sure nothing's gonna happen. So very, very light passes. Rather do it an extra 10 times. And where are we at? 132, 5 inches. Alright, we got lucky enough with the thicknesser, and because we got so lucky, I'm gonna take the riving knife out of my table saw next. Just because I cannot make that cut with the riving knife in place, but I will put it back as soon as I can. It is a Friday afternoon though, so I will be extra careful. Get into it. The difference between a splitter and a riving knife is that the splitter does not travel up and down with the blade when you adjust the height. That makes cuts like this impossible unless you go full depth on the first pass. I might take the occasional questionable shortcut, but that's where I draw the line. As far as I know, splitters are a thing of the past. But if you've got an expensive hobby like I do, you might find yourself buying older equipment as well. After cutting off all the jagged edges left by the thicknesser, it was time to cut this section that would become the lid of the box. Alrighty then. I made several passes on the table saw before finishing the cut on the bandsaw. That's enough of this. I'm gonna finish the cut on the bandsaw because it's Friday afternoon and I already got lucky enough. No reason to push it. There we have it. Cool. Okay, so this is the time of the project where I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll figure it out. So, first attempt. Let's see if we can make this work. Here I'm figuring out how to cut a clean line around the perimeter. This will dictate the thickness of the sides of the box. We need this, and then the trim rod up. Look-see. There you go. I rarely build the same thing twice, so a lot of my projects need custom templates, jigs, or something along those lines. And this one definitely turned into a build something to build the thing kind of project. I got this base for my trim router, but it's just not quite enough. I quickly cut a bigger one, 70 to the center. Let's look if we got a hole saw big enough. Otherwise, I've got another circle cutting jig kind of a thing. We'll give that a go next, but I don't know. Maybe I've got a hole saw big enough. That would definitely be the easiest. That's not gonna cut it. All right. So I'll have a look in here. Okay, we'll give this thing a whirl. So this thing allows you to cut a circle at like any size you want. I've got to admit, I haven't used it before. Ah, there we go, there are measurements on there. Would you believe that? Unreal. Okay, there we go. There we are, buddy. Yeah, man. Okay, so we got some measurements on there as well, which is bit nifty. Yeah, it doesn't look frightening at all. And you gotta go somewhere else. It is Friday afternoon. I was almost lazy enough to not clamp it down, but that would be silly, wouldn't it? Let's not do that. That may have been it. You know? Yeah. Not too shabby. I'm gonna make this hole bigger for the router bit straight away, and then transfer the locations for the bolts, countersink those in, and then we should be good to go. Shit. This thing is so much in there. Oh man. In order to find the true center of the new base plate, I used a Forstner bit that fit perfectly into the old one. Then I just transferred the bolt locations, which guaranteed I'd get a uniform offset while routing. So let's have a look, see what we need. Alrighty. 4mm it is. Yeah, probably about this long. Double check before we get too carried away. Beauty of the fit. We'll do that. Okay, that's enough of this bad boy. Now we need 4.5. This doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna call this good enough. Let's go. If you ever see the bit in your drill press doing the wobble like mine, don't be a dickhead like me and ignore it. From this to this to that. Yeah, cool. That was.
Very nice. It's also Friday afternoon, but it's only like 1:30. I'm pretty keen to just call it. But then again, I don't really want to come back to this either. So yeah, I'll have a little break, think about it. But I've got to come up with something.
After contemplating treating it like a happy accident and turning it into a feature of some sort, I ended up taking the easy route. Slapped some wood glue on it and left the rest for future flow to deal with.
Well, that was unnecessary. Shit happens. Actually, it never happened to me that a piece on the drill press got caught and flew around. I'm pretty happy it didn't hit me or anything of value, but this is a little bit annoying. It's right at the top and the front of the lid, so it's like so obvious. Great way to end the week. Oh boy, oh boy.
Alright, it is Monday. Already had a bit of go. I got this thing kind of hollowed out after I broke it last week, and I started already on the carving inside, but I'll show you more of that later. Monday has started good. I have successfully fried my trim router. It just went up in smoke. Luckily, I've got a corded one as well. Finally onto the fun bit. I've been meaning to try this power carving technique for a while, and finally found the right project for it. While I wanted to keep the outside sharp and clean, I thought a textured inside would make a nice contrast. The internal sides I shaped with a round chisel. Jumping back to the base of the box, it was time to remove the bulk of the material the drill press had left behind before routing it out. For this, I chose some of the finest methods ever known to woodworking. This tripod is doing my head in. Here we are. You serious? This is an absolute piece of garbage. Oh, you piece of shit. Unreal. So useless. Never use this. Time to get serious. To remove the remaining material, I started off using a guide bushing with a spiral cutter for the bulk. Then added a collet extension with a flush trim bit to my router, which allowed me to reach all the way inside the box to clean up the rest. Have I mentioned the build something to build something moments? Well, here's another one. To my surprise, my 2-year-old sanding board had already lost its grit, so after wasting about 5 minutes, I quickly whipped up a new one. The new board made quick work of neatening up the cut the table saw had left behind. I originally wanted to use brass hinges and make a matching handle, but spontaneously decided to go hardware free. Here I'm routing a recess into the box to allow the lid to sit inside, using a rabbiting bit. The recess on the lid took a few passes and quite a bit of sanding, but it's always better to creep up on fits like this to ensure a snug fit. Next I squared up the internal corners and refined the lid until it sat nicely inside the box without any play. Scoring the lines with a sharp blade before chiseling makes it easy to keep a crisp edge. I generously chamfered all the edges on the outside and gave the lid a heavy chamfer on both top and bottom to create a comfortable hold for lifting it. If you look closely, you will see that during the chamfering process I had a bit of tear out. While it did feel frustrating at first, it ended up being the best thing that could have happened, as it dictated the design choice I would have not made otherwise. Something I've never done before, but it turned out great. One of a few happy accidents, as Bob would say. The first happy accident was that tear out on the corners, which I turned into a bevel chamfer. The remaining imperfections I accentuated. With the help of a V-groove router bit, I cut a couple of lines through the damaged sections, which in my opinion fit the overall look really well. But feel free to let me know what you would have done. It was certainly getting late that day, but with the finish line in sight, I was determined to bring it home. I thoroughly blew off the dust, especially since end grain collects so much of it in its pores. Afterwards, I raised the grain with water, and once it had dried, followed it up by final sand. Let's bring this home. Oh boy, in hindsight, I'm super happy I decided to carve the inside. I do like the look of it, the feel of it, plus so much more forgiving sanding wise, because it has a texture anyway, so win, win, winnie win. I added 2 coats of hard wax oil and a few coats of beeswax to make it feel as smooth as can be. It was a bit of a long day, but we got it all done. I'll see you when we bring this home. Cheers. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. It definitely took longer than I would like to admit, but efforts fade and results endure. See you on the next one. Forgot my phone.